Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the Short Sports Show. I'm your host, Daniel Short. Today is Friday, February 28th, 2014. And, awesome week. The NFL Combine ended last week. It actually ended, Monday, and I said it was, Monday. And, there's an extra day. I forgot all about it. And, we actually ended Tuesday because of the cornerbacks, and I just completely forgot about all that. And thankfully, as a TCU fan, Jason Verrett, former TCU player, did amazing on his combine, a 4.38, which was, I believe, tied second in the 40-yard dash, and secured his spot at the top first round draft pick, which is amazing. It helps us TCU out, but also really good for him. Can't be selfish about it. But anyways, today's show, spring training has started. Awesome. Finally, we got some baseball going on, as well as in the NFL, we got some free agency signings, including breaking news with the Eagles and wide receiver Jeremy Maclin. And we'll also talk about a little NBA news, which it's not really free. I guess you could still say it's free agency, as two players have been signed. But first, we will talk about a little bit of college football. And an interesting story came up when I was looking through. I looked through to see what's happening around sports, and I try to see what's interesting. And this was a pretty interesting story. Last March, Ohio State head coach Urban Meyer was eating lunch with former quarterback Tim Tebow. Tim Tebowith, the great Tim Tebow, is eating lunch with them, as well as with some friends and family. And at the time, Urban Meyer's phone rang, and instead of answering it, he gave it to Tim Tebow. And this is where it gets a little crazy. It was a potential recruit, outside linebacker Clifton Garrett, who, after all of this, later commits to LSU. Meyer said that he wasn't trying to lure Garrett to committing, but when Garrett answered the phone, it was Tim Tebow saying hello. Garrett had no idea, obviously, because he was just talking to Urban Meyer. And Garrett also asked Urban Meyer, after he got the phone back, said if he could wish Tim Tebow good luck on the upcoming season. Anyways, that seems okay, right? That's nothing bad. And the conversation only lasted 8 seconds of saying hi and good luck on the upcoming season. Hope Tim Tebow gets signed, right? 8 seconds, boom, bam. That can't hurt anything, right? Well, it's still a violation according to the NCAA rules, and no one would have known. This would have never got out. But of course, someone had to do something, and usually you probably get it from someone else, a little source. Maybe he would have told his friends. No, he decided, let's let everybody know. Let everybody know. And the way he did that was he tweeted it. He tweeted what happened. And you got to know, as a recruit, high school coaches around the country, when they know they have a player that's, getting scouted, especially with big universities like Ohio State, LSU, and other schools like that, you tell them about some things. Don't take anything from them. Don't let scouts, coaches, whatever, buy you anything. But also, this has got to be something where if don't tell people about this type of thing. Anyways, he goes. Clifton Garrett tweets it. Says this is his tweet. This is word for word his tweet. I just called Coach Meyer to see what's up, and the next thing you know, I was talking on the phone with Tim Tebow. # in shock right now. # insane. # what are you thinking? Don't tweet that. I mean, that's awesome. You got to talk to Tim Tebow. You didn't even. It was crazy. You didn't think that was going to happen. Something to tell your mom and dad. Don't go and tell Twitter, out of all places. Don't go and tweet that. Because it's just, it's a violation. It could have got him in trouble, and obviously could get Urban Meyer in trouble. And then we all know with Ohio State, there's sanctions that they're still going through. It doesn't look like anything bad's going to come out of this. It was just it happened. It's not like, he committed to LSU anyway, so it's not like Ohio State got him or anything. So it doesn't look like anything bad is going to happen to Ohio State, Urban Meyer, or Garrett. But it's just, don't tweet this, dude. That's awesome. And I mean, now we know the story, but don't go out and tweet it. Anyways, sad news for Miami football and Miami University overall. Former player JoJo Nichols died a day after getting into a car accident. It was a standout defensive player for them. I posted on Facebook about it. So that's sad news. Also, offensive lineman Hunter Knighton was hospitalized Monday after passing out during a workout session. He was still unconscious on Tuesday, and I believe I was looking through. I think he is okay now, but so it's just bad news for Miami. And they also last week, a few weeks ago, there's some. They're going to investigate to see if they have other sanctions, other violations that's happening. Miami's just all sorts of just screwed up right now. Not because of the players dying and this person passing. I mean, that's, that sucks. But I'm saying about, just a lot of bad things are just happening in Miami right now. And not a good time when you're in-state schools. Well, Florida's kind of struggling right now. But, Florida's still in the SEC. They could always get, bounce right back up. Well, with Florida State winning national title last year, could even repeat this year, this is not the year for you to be, having violations and being screwed over right now. But other than that, former Oklahoma quarterback Kendall Thompson is transferring to Utah. He graduates this May, so he will be eligible to play this upcoming season, and should be the starter for the Utes, as Utah was 9th in the Pac-12 in passing yards and 10th in the Pac-12 in points scored. The two quarterbacks split time together. So Thompson has that dual threat. He was one of the highly scouted players coming out of high school, and actually would have been the starter. Could even competed over to be a starter with Landry Jones at that time, but obviously got beat. And with what's his name, San Antonio school, or the kid from San Antonio, his last name's Knight, right? I believe Travis Knight. Is that right? Anyways, we all know he was freshman, beat up on Alabama. We all know him. I can't think of the name right now. I'll probably think of it after the show. He's obviously going to be a starter. They made Blake Bell the Belldozer, switched him to a tight end. So obviously the quarterback position is now set for Oklahoma. And so obviously Thompson had to go somewhere. And that's a good idea. Utah's, a few years ago was a pretty top-notch school. So this will be interesting to see what Utah can do. Also, only 25 coaches are now in favor of the new rule proposal that would allow, that would force offenses to wait 10 seconds to run off the play clock before snapping the ball. Out of 128 total FBS coaches, 25 are in favor. The rest are not. 93. I think the rest of the numbers were 93 were against it, and 7 were undecided, which is like, why do you gotta be that? Those 7 coaches is really just probably the ones that just really don't care, and they're probably like at Akron or something that just suck. How can we be undecided? Say yes or no. I mean, you can't really just be in between. I mean, most coaches are either offensively minded or defensively minded, and usually the ones that are offensive minded are against this. Obviously, defensive minded, they're for it. At first I was in favor for it, and I don't know. There's part of it that it does look like a stupid rule to, make offenses have to wait 10 seconds to run off. That way, so defenses could get a little bit rest, substitution, things like that. I can see where that could just get really annoying as an offense, especially when you got things going, momentum, all this other stuff. So obviously it looks like with only 25 coaches in favor, this is going to get shut down and we won't have this rule. But now thinking back on it, it seems like a smarter thing to not have it. But because, like I said, they did studies on it I guess the main reason for this proposal was to not only have defenses be able to substitute and rest, but for safety causes, again, the safety thing. They said that it's not going to help or hurt it any. So probably a good decision to go ahead and not have that rule. That way we still see the Oregon-type offenses and see what defenses could do, because obviously defenses still win championships, as we've seen. I know we're talking about college football, but in the NFL, we saw the Seattle Seahawks defense dominated offense, obviously, with this Super Bowl we all saw. And college football could still be the same way with defenses. So we'll just have to see. But again, only 25 coaches are in favor of this new proposed rule. ECU, not TCU, ECU. I mean, I guess this could have been like TCU news the way this offseason is going again. But anyways, Eastern Carolina University kicked off wide receiver Danny Webster from the team after being suspended twice and arrested earlier this month on a DWI charge. Really wasn't that good. Only had 840-something yards in the past 3 years. So, been a backup most of his career at ECU. Big Ten Commissioner Jim Delaney says no to Friday games except for on Thanksgiving and Labor Day weekends. So don't expect any Big Ten teams going against each other during those Friday games. They could still have games, let's say Ohio's playing Buffalo. Ohio State playing Buffalo. They could still play on Friday if they wanted to, but it won't be Ohio State, Michigan on a Friday unless it's on the Thanksgiving or Labor Day weekend, which probably won't see anyways. Florida State and Florida will continue to play each other through the 2018 season. Gators lead the overall series 34-22-2, but the Seminoles have won the last 3 of the 4 games and will look to continue with Heisman winning quarterback Jameis Winston at helm. And Winston going against the Yankees. Did anybody watch? I mean, most people probably didn't watch it live because at work and with the spring training games, but I'm sure most people saw the highlights. Jameis Winston strikes out against the Yankees, and I think I completely forgot about that some colleges actually play against the pro teams in the MLB, and I think that's such a cool idea, really awesome. I think that should be more universities should do that. Obviously, the bigger schools that are in baseball should do that because that's awesome. Like Boston College played the Red Sox, and again, just like we just said, Florida State played the Yankees. I would love to see TCU take on the Texas Rangers or even the Houston Astros because everybody can beat the Astros. But I think that's such it's awesome for the universities, the college players, playing baseball against because most college players, that's what they're going for. They're going straight to the MLB or, obviously minor leagues. And to play against that, and it's a free scouting thing. It's a free scouting thing because with so many teams in college baseball, in Division I baseball, it's very difficult to get, scouted. And for you to go and play in a spring training game against a pro team, that's amazing. That's amazing. Obviously, for the fans to hope that you can say that your team beat the Yankees or beat some pro team, even though most of the players are still, those minor leaguers, it's still an awesome experience for those players. And I think that's such a cool idea. I hope we could see more universities taking on pro teams like that. Also, the Pittsburgh Panthers, Pittsburgh University. I didn't know if it was University of Pittsburgh or Pittsburgh University. That's why I just said Pittsburgh Panthers. They will cancel their spring football game because head coach Paul Chryst believes more practices will help the, quote, young roster, as apparently they have a very young team, and they just don't want to have a spring game. And sadly, I don't think TCU is going to have one. They didn't have one last year. I don't think they had one the year before either. No, the past 2 years we have not had spring training or spring practice games, which I like watching them. I know Texas State, they will have theirs April 5th. I will be there. I love watching the Maroon versus Gold. That's for Texas State. I love watching spring practice games. I think those are very interesting to watch. They're pointless, but they're also fun. But TCU hasn't had one, and I don't believe they will have one again this year. But other than that, that's the end for college football news. A lot more than what we've had over the past several weeks, which is awesome. Hopefully we can still get some more news going because I miss football. And it's gonna be a while. But still talking football here. The NFL, 10 more days till free agency, and since we are getting closer, you're gonna start seeing more teams start signing people, start signing players, re-signing them. Because they don't want them, obviously, to become free agents. And the Eagles, they've been pretty busy over the past 2 days. Yesterday, Eagles re-signed wide receiver Riley Cooper and center Jason Kelce. Cooper received a 5-year, $25 million deal and $10.5 million guaranteed, while Kelce received a 6-year, $37.5 million deal. Also, offensive lineman Jason Peters signed a 5-year deal contract. And just a few minutes ago, the Eagles signed Jeremy Maclin, which was really in question. At least in my mind, it was really in question if they would sign him before free agency because of signing Cooper to this big deal. Because in my mind, I'd rather have Jeremy Maclin. I know he had the ACL injury last year, but Maclin is, to me, is a whole lot better. Even after injury, I think he's still going to be a lot better than Riley Cooper will be. I would have gave the 5-year deal to Maclin because Maclin just signed a 1-year contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. And no money has been discussed or released just yet, but it is a 1-year contract, which I'm surprised Maclin is wanting that. I think he could have got, a bigger contract. I'm not saying, an elite contract out there because of his injury, but I think he would have got more than a 1-year deal. Unless he's getting paid $10.5 million this year, then I guess that's why he re-signed with the Eagles, or if he really loves Philadelphia, that's why he re-signed. But I think knowing that he would have been a free agent if he didn't sign this 1-year contract, could have got a much bigger deal with any teams. And I know my San Diego Chargers were looking at Jeremy Maclin, and I'm not going to lie, I would love to have Jeremy Maclin on the opposite side of Keenan Allen. Just saying, that would have been pretty legit. Not a top offense, but if we were 4th already in the NFL, if we were 4th in passing yards, might just bump us up with just a tad bit. But anyways, Jeremy Maclin re-signs 1-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. So is Riley Cooper. Well, bigger deal. And Jason Peters, that's another good deal for the Eagles. So Eagles been pretty busy so far. And let's see what they will do in free agency come 10 days from now. Patriots will cut safety Steve Gregory due to cap space. The Patriots will save $2.85 million for that. And my San Diego Chargers, we had some good news today. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. Thank God right here. The Chargers re-signed linebacker Donald Butler, which was a huge thing. They had been discussing this since the NFL Combine started. They were going to be prepared way before, right when the season ended, knowing they had to re-sign him because how good he has been. And I know most people might not believe me, but I'm asking you to believe me. I said once the Chargers drafted him from University of Washington, I knew he was going to be good. I knew it. There's something about him. I don't know if it was his size, the way he played at UW, but something about him. I just said this guy is going to be a legit linebacker. I even said, for hopefully, people out there will believe me, I said he would be the next Ray Lewis. Now, looking back at it now, no, he won't be. But that's how certain I was that he would be a very good linebacker for the Chargers, and he has been. He's had one bad year. That was because of he tore his ACL or something like that and was out for the entire year. But in the past 3 seasons, he's had 257 tackles for the San Diego Chargers, and I'm so glad they signed him to a multi-year contract. Right now, I've not seen any, exact numbers for the years and for the years and money, but it is a multi-year contract, and I'm really excited. Hopefully, it's at least 5 years. But anyways, good news for the San Diego Chargers signing Donald Butler. Also, the Bears re-signed cornerback Kelvin Hayden to a 1-year, $840,000 deal. He had 62 tackles last year, including 2 pass breakups. Ravens and tight end Dennis Pittner agreed to a 5-year, $32 million deal. He was hurt all of last year, but in the Super Bowl run in 2012, he had 669 yards and 7 touchdowns. So that's really good for the Ravens to re-sign him. And also, another news right here. Panthers will use a franchise tag on Pro Bowl defensive end Greg Hardy, who had 15 sacks last year. So again, Panthers use a franchise tag on Greg Hardy. Also, speaking of franchise tag, things are going to get really complicated with the New Orleans Saints and tight end or wide receiver Jimmy Graham. Anyways, the Saints came out today saying they will use a franchise tag on Jimmy Graham. And because of that, Jimmy Graham's agent said before this happened. I actually said a few weeks ago, if not like a month ago, said that if the Saints were to use a franchise tag, they will likely file grievance through the Players Association, asking that Graham will be to be considered as a receiver because he lined up at wide receiver or in the slot on 67% of the snaps last year. And franchise tags for tight ends and receivers are expected to be about $6.7 for tight ends, $6.7 million for tight ends, and $11.5 million for wide receivers. So a huge gap right there in money. And of course, that's always what it's got to come down to for some of these players. Which, I'm not gonna lie, go get your money, go get it. But I mean, what do you want? Super Bowls, money. Super Bowls, money. That's up to you to decide. Anyways, but the Saints said, I don't care. We're going to franchise him, and they will try to use it as a tight end, but obviously they're going to try to fight back against that. Also, the NFL to add an extra official to the field during preseason games this year. It is a May. It's not just yet, but most likely we'll add an extra official. That would make 8 total referees. The 8th referee will line up in the offensive backfield and focus on the interior line play. This is not the first time this has happened. Back in 2010 and the 11 preseasons, the NFL added an extra official. They lined up 25 yards downfield to test whether it would help the referees to complex. This is where I stopped because I really didn't understand what ESPN was saying. So right here, from this point on, is what ESPN had to say. Said that it would help refs with the complex passing packages that teams now deploy. I mean, I understand what that says. It's just, why word it like that when you could have just said, extra official lined up 25 yards downfield to test whether it could get away from now that the passing plays are so much deeper, wide receivers going out, it can just help with the, pass interference or something like that. That's why I'm getting at. Anyways, ESPN had to be all weird about it. But said it helped, but it was not enough to go ahead and use throughout the regular season. But anyways, they will add an extra official to see if this would help. But this one will be offensive backfield and all that good stuff. And the last news is Darren Sharper. Now, before I get started talking about him, Darren Sharper, I liked him when he was with Minnesota. I liked him when he was with the Vikings. He was actually one of my favorite players in the NFL. And this was pretty crazy. I did not see that he was this type of person. But anyways, today he surrendered to the police after a warrant was issued for his arrest. Apparently on September 23rd of 2013, he raped 2 women in Louisiana and got arrested. Surrendered, all that good stuff, and that sucks, man. Darren Sharper, I really liked him, and I didn't think he was this. I mean, I don't like him anymore because this is bad. That's just cruel. But anyways, it's just Darren Sharper. I swear, I did not think he was. I thought he was a good Christian man that was one of the top safeties in the NFL. I thought he was even a Hall of Famer, but obviously, I believe this will keep him out of the Hall of Fame. Well, I mean, that's just a given. Yeah, he will be out of it, but that's just crazy. You think, obviously I don't know him, but you think when you see a celebrity or football player, you think you know them by the way they've been on the field and some of the things you've seen off the field for several years, and next thing you know, something like that happens. It's crazy. It's a crazy world these days. But anyways, Darren Sharper gone just like that. MLB news, like I said, spring training has begun, and with that, major news is that, knowing that this is Derek Jeter's last year. This will be his 20th year with the New York Yankees, all 20th career year, whatever you want to say. He went 0 for 2 in his spring training debut, and people are making a big news. Is he still going to be the same? 0 for 2, is this bad? And one thing, it's way too freaking early. It is way too early to start saying if Jeter's going to be, an all-pro this year, or is he going to just suck or something. I think it's crazy, but, ESPN's got to be like that sometimes. And anyways, Derek Jeter, 0 for 2 in his spring training debut. I don't think that's that bad. And I know I'm not the only person that thinks that. But he still looked good. And obviously looked really healthy out there, competing the way he was. And I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, again, it was just the first game for him. I think he's going to be, solid throughout the season. I'm not saying he's going to put up great numbers, but I think he, we'll see Derek Jeter, still being clutch. I think we're going to be surprised how clutch Derek Jeter will be this season. And just the odd times that he's going to come out and help the Yankees win. I'm not a Yankees fan. I am a Derek Jeter fan. But I think people saying Derek Jeter's going to suck this year or talking bad about him after he's just gone 0 for 2 this year, in his first game, I think it's way too early. The Jeter still got time. But what isn't good, and I know I just got done saying it's early, and it's very early, obviously. But what isn't good is that 2 Dodgers are already hurt. My LA Dodgers have gotten off on a pretty bad start. Outfielder Carl Crawford had a hamstring issue, but should be good to go. But anyways, he got hurt. And then starting pitcher Zach Greinke left spring game yesterday versus the Diamondbacks just after 4 pitches with a strained right calf. The Dodgers said it was precautionary, but still, that's not a good start for us. I mean, come on. We got the win yesterday. We're 1-1 now. I mean, I'm not really going to keep track with the records because it's just spring training. I mean, I want to win all of them, but anyways, it's just not a good start. We already got an outfield issue that really isn't an issue. It's just, what are you going to do with 4 outfielders when there's 3 spots? And I just want to win. I just want to win for the Dodgers. Now, again, I know I just got done saying it's early, but that's not a good start for the Dodgers. Not a good start. Other news. I know this is back to football. New York Jets franchise tag kicker Nick Folk. I don't know why you use a franchise tag on a kicker. Out of all things you got to do, you're going to franchise a kicker. But anyways, that's the Jets, I guess, for you. That's the Jets. But back to baseball. After being suspended last season, Brewers outfielder Ryan Braun showed everybody that he's still juiced up. Not really. Who knows if he still is. But anyways, he homered off a 0-1 pitch in his first at-bat against the Oakland A's. And just, he homered. Brewers later won 11-3 over the Oakland A's. And, everybody's going crazy with Ryan Braun. Can he still put up the numbers? Is he still, after being a year gone from baseball, can he still do it? I don't like him. Just because he stole the MVP against my Dodgers outfielder. I say my as if I own, but I don't. But I'm a fan, so I'm just going to say it's my team. Well, I mean, it's my favorite team. Anyways, point is, Ryan Braun stole the MVP trophy or award, whatever you want to call it, against Matt Kemp, who just put up awesome numbers and should have gotten. Obviously, since Ryan Braun was juiced that year, it really should have gone to Matt Kemp, but, it didn't. Oh, well. And speaking of the Oakland A's, as the Brewers beat the Oakland A's 11-3, the San Francisco Giants are willing to share AT&T Park with the A's if the Athletics decide to build a new stadium. Quote, they've got to come up with a long-term plan. Once that's arrived, then maybe you'll step back and say, is there something we can do that to be helpful as a neighborly thing? That's coming from Giants president Larry Beer, whatever his last name is. No one cares about the Giants. But at least that is a nice thing the Giants would do for the Oakland A's. And I think we all know the Oakland A's need their own stadium. Hopefully still stay in Oakland and not move to that. I can't think of the city right now, but it's just this weird city and this weird layout design that they had for the stadium that they were going to do. But anyways, hopefully the Oakland A's do get a new stadium. And that's nice of the Giants to share. I mean, I'm pretty sure the MLB would have forced them to in the end, but nice that they would come out and say they would share. And last news for baseball, Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson will not take at-bats for the Texas Rangers in spring training. Quote, the guy hasn't seen a pitch and I'm not running him out there, manager Ron Washington said. He also goes on and says, our intentions are to see if there's anything we can say or anything he can say that may help anyone around here that has on a baseball uniform. This guy's a winner. He has tremendous character. He has an attitude and undoubtedly has a lot of commitment to what he does. That's what we're about, and we just want him to feel comfortable. Again, that's what Ron Washington's had to say on Russell Wilson. And so it does just look like he is just there to talk. But also, Ron Washington did say that since Russell Wilson is an infielder, he would, give him a few practices here and there if Russell Wilson wants to. But obviously, the Rangers did come out and say, he's still the quarterback for the Seahawks. He's the Super Bowl quarterback. We knew him coming down here. We're not going to try to get him hurt. And so, obviously that was, that's just common sense, but it's good that, they're out there not trying to force him. Hey dude, we really need you to go out there and just start hitting and just see what you can do. Maybe earn a spot on the team. That type of thing. But that is good. And I like what Ron Washington had to say about Russell Wilson. I think that's, pretty legit right there, what he had to say on Russell Wilson. And like I said, we still will talk about the NBA here, and we will start talking more about the NBA as there's little to talk about the NFL and also NBA season. It's after All-Star break now. So now things are going to get a little bit heated now. Playoff races, who's going to get that last spot? What are we going to see in the playoffs? Is anybody going to take out the Heat on the Eastern Conference? Who's going to win in the West? Are the Thunder going to step up? Can the Spurs still play? Those type of things we will talk about as time gets closer. But few things. Bulls are close to signing former Kings guard and former BYU player Jimmer Fredette. That's the only reason I remember this guy. And that's because he used to beat up on my TCU Horned Frogs in basketball during the time he was at BYU during the Mountain West days. Man, were those the days. At least not for basketball, because everybody beats up on TCU. I don't know if you guys have seen, and I'm not going to ignore this. TCU, I believe, is 0-14 in conference play in basketball and men's basketball against the Big 12. Oh my goodness, that is terrible. I mean, I thought, last year we had 2 wins. Obviously, the biggest upset in college basketball history. It was TCU defeating Kansas at home, Daniel Meyer Coliseum. Woo, I wish I could have been there, but I did watch it on ESPNU. I stayed up and I watched it. It was crazy. I enjoyed it. I could still say I was part of it because I saw it on TV and I'm a TCU fan. Anyways, enough about TCU basketball. But thing is, Jimmer Fredette going to the Bulls, he really hasn't done anything in the NBA, at least what I've seen. I don't pay too much attention to the NBA, especially if it's not about the Spurs. I really don't pay too much attention on it. But I really haven't heard his name. I didn't even know where he went after BYU. I just know he was pretty legit at BYU. And also, after a buyout with the 76ers, Danny Granger has cleared waivers today and will sign with the LA Clippers. Both the Clippers and my San Antonio Spurs were the 2 front runners to sign Granger, but ultimately Granger decided to sign with the Clippers. Why? Because I think, looking at it, I know most people are going to say, the Spurs are old, they suck, they can't beat the good teams, which is kind of true. They really can't. They have a negative record against that. But if you look at it, when playoffs starts, Spurs or Clippers, I take the Spurs, and not just as a fan. Look what they've done in the playoffs. They could still get it done, and having Granger out there would have been probably the player they need. That's I think that would have been really cool if they could have Danny Granger with the Spurs. I think that would have helped them tremendously, especially in the playoffs. But the Clippers, this is still gonna be good for them. But I just don't think Clippers they obviously made themselves better signing him, but I don't think, in the end, I don't think this is going to help them move up a series. And when I say move up a series, I don't think this is going to get them past, the second round or anything like that. With him or without him, I think they still lose probably, at the second round, whatever that may be. But anyways, that's it for today's show. Pretty interesting today. I think we had some good news. We're going past time a little bit, but it's all good. I had stuff to talk about, more football news, which is awesome. That's always what we need. But anyways, we will be back Monday. This last episode of February. Monday will be the first episode of March. That'll be awesome, I guess, really. Same old. Anyways, we'll talk about some news going around the league. Hopefully there's some good news. But one thing I did notice is that pro days obviously start in March. We're getting closer. Pro days are going to start coming up, so we'll talk about that. But one thing that I think I don't know how long it's been like this. And now, I obviously, I'm into the NFL a lot. I look at a lot of things, more than what most people do. And one thing I did not know, did not recognize, and maybe it's just the first year, maybe that's why, but if not, I've completely forgot about it. But why in the world did the NFL move the draft to May instead of April? What are we supposed to do for April? Anybody ever think about that? I thought it was always in April. They made that documentary, which I still think is one of the best NFL college football documentaries that there's ever been created. It was 2 days in April. That was amazing documentary. I still rewatch it to this day, even though it's old and it's half screen and everything. Still one of the best documentaries out there in football. 2 days in April. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. I think you can still find it on YouTube, but you type it in. If you could buy it, go out and buy it. Guarantee you will not regret it. It's old, but it's still very awesome to watch. But why would they move it to freaking May? What are we supposed to do for the entire month of April? April, that was our cover up. That was, now we got nothing. Anyways, that's a little rant. I do have a discussion video coming up on YouTube. It is my NFL mock 10 draft. Top 10. I'm only doing the 10 picks. I'm not going to do the entire first round, and I'm sure as heck not going to do all 7 rounds because that's just stupid. But it is my top 10 that I should get done probably here in just a bit. So for sure tonight it'll be uploaded. So you guys go check that out on YouTube, The Short Sports Show. Got other episodes up there too. Become a fan on Facebook, The Short Sports Show. Give it a like once you're there. Keep up with other news throughout the day, throughout the week, whatever you feel like clicking onto it. Also follow me on Twitter at @short_sports 24/7 with all that other good news. And that's about it for today's show. I will see you guys Monday. It will be a morning show. Mondays are now going to be in the morning. I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to make it official at 10 a.m. Central Time. It will be every Monday, 10 a.m., Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Monday mornings. Fridays will still be in the afternoon. So I will see you guys then. Thank you guys for listening, watching on YouTube, whatever it may be, iHeartRadio. It's all good for me. I will see you guys Monday. God first, God bless. I am out.